to see, we all want to be real.
Okay, planet Earth, this is Kaypacha. By popular demand, I have put out the Kundalini Yoga Lymphatic System Kriya. Now is the time to start your spiritual practice. You can just roll out of bed onto a pillow, straighten up that spine, and make this Kriya just like a dream. And start out your day with power, with beauty, with love. It's awesome. Thanks for coming to the Kundalini Yoga. It is about clearing out the lymph nodes, the lymphatic system. Good work. One more minute, less than that. The ego is the creator, not only of separation, but of resistance to the flow of energy. The flow of love energy, the flow of Kundalini energy, the flow of light energy. Get out of that ego, get out of the thoughts, and let your body go. Big breath through the nose, third eyebrow. Focus, focus, focus. Spine nice and straight, sitting up straight, and relax. If you do this every morning for 40 days, it's enough to change an old and break old habit patterns. If you do it for 90 days, it will bring in a whole new energy into your life. Namaste. Aloha. So much love.
Hello.
Namaste, namaste, so much love.
Namaste.
Good to have you on, Kaypacha.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Actually, it's so funny because tomorrow it's my birthday, and your assistant got back to us, giving us this date of the 13th, and we said, just go with it, and it's just funny how that stuff comes together. So
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Happy birthday, man. How old are you?
I'm gonna be 36 tomorrow.
36. Good. Great. Great. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. They say the day before your birthday, the day of your birthday, and the day after your birthday is when, the spirit beings and ascended masters and angels, or whatever you want to call it, are closest to you, and, you can access their reality easier.
Of course, we've been following your show. Your weekly Paleo report is outstanding. It's so great that so many people have the chance to watch it. And, let's get into it here. We'll introduce you quick to our listeners.
Let's go for it.
Yes,
And,
so
here we go.
Kaypacha is a professional astrologer, public speaker who, with his amazing presentations and workshops, journeys the world and, works helping people to remember their own divinity, heal their spiritual wounds, find their path, and answers to many deep questions of our and our planetary life too. And Kaypacha is also a Kundalini yoga teacher and philosopher of life itself. And like Stefan mentioned, it was one of our dreams to invite him near a cup of tea to discuss his work with us, and our dream finally came true. So you are a huge inspiration for us, and we learned, lots of things every week from your reports, daily reports, and all the message you share with humanity. So thank you, Kaypacha, for joining us tonight, and it's a huge pleasure. For all our listeners, I strongly suggest to go to check Kaypacha's page, which is New Paradigm Astrology, where you can find lots of articles, daily weekly reports, and also apply for astrological reading with Kaypacha. And maybe for the beginning, you would love to share with us your story, how everything started for you, and how you, just get in touch with astrology, and how it, entered your life.
Sure. It was over 40 years ago. I hate to say how old I am. But in my teenage, I was a teenager, and I moved out to California from Chicago, where I was born, and I just happened to plop down next door to an astrologer. And he just invited me over one day, and we were sitting around, and he just pulled up my chart and blew my mind completely, totally, wholly, fully, and completely. I mean, he told me things about my, you know, my past lives and my health. I had just crashed my motorcycle and hurt my knees, and he told me I was going to have bad knees. And you know, my girlfriend was studying French and dancing, and he mentioned that, you know, my partner would you know, be into French and dancing. I mean, he just like, you know, about the parents in my childhood, and you know, it just, yeah, it was really very powerful, very amazing for me, because I was like I say, just fooling around, and I got a much bigger picture of life and reincarnation and evolution, and it actually sobered me up a little bit, you know. It was like, uh-oh, you know. At that time, I was living according to the motto of the Budweiser beer commercial, that you only go around once in life, so you should grab for all the gusto. And I was grabbing for all the gusto in every way, shape, and form, and this kind of like put me on a path to be looking at things in a whole new way. So I did all the charts of my family and friends and everybody I knew, and I got all the books I could, and I've just been you know, totally obsessive compulsive about it ever since.
Amazing. And now you have New Paradigm Astrology. And what does that signify, and why New Paradigm Astrology?
Well, we are headed into a new paradigm, basically, and you know, a paradigm is a way of piecing together reality. And we, at this particular time, there's huge cycles happening. There's we're closing a 26,000 year cycle as the 0 degrees Capricorn comes into alignment with the galactic center. So this is a huge shift, and I associate it very much with the rise and fall of the patriarchy that has been in existence now for a quarter of that 26,000 years. It's been around for 6,500 years. Male-dominated, hierarchical, you know, material approach towards, you know, success and purpose, and just the way we orient ourselves. And so we're ending that cycle. Then we're also within that larger cycle, there's another cycle. The age of Pisces is a 2,000 year cycle, and that's closing, and we're coming into this age of Aquarius, and we can talk more about, you know, what that signifies. And so we have cycles upon cycles upon cycles, and they're kind of culminating. And so I really view this time on planet Earth, I view the people that are in bodies right now are souls that have chosen to incarnate into a third dimensional form and reality in order to experience this tremendous shift of consciousness while in a body. So I really feel that everyone alive today is really here to help assist in bringing about an awakening, a liberation, an opening to a new multiple new perceptions of what it means to be a human being, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, what it means to really, you know, exist within 3 dimensions when we are multi-dimensional spiritual beings. So there's a whole, it's a very exciting time, I think, where we're kind of crashing. The patriarchy is kind of like the Titanic, man. It's going down, you know. And my website and my work, hopefully, is to keep an eye on the future of, you know, that in astrology, there's no death. There's only transformation. So what dies resurrects. You know, spring turns into summer, fall, winter, and back into spring again. So, you know, with every ending, there's a new beginning. And I would like to focus more on the new paradigm and the new beginning, you know, rather than focusing on the bullshit and the trials and tribulations that are going
Totally.
away.
Yes, of course, in 2016, we had a crazy year regarding astrology and the happenings. We can really see how, all these events in the sky play out down here with the help of your report, and it's just wonderful. And me being a Virgo, I felt that Jupiter moving into Libra just in the last days very prominently. And I remember waking up that one morning and something just really had lifted off my shoulders. It was more like a feeling of relief than what I had expected, that the big helper is gone. So it's really interesting what is going on in 2016. And what do you think about all that?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's not, I can't say that, you know, the shit is over yet, you know, but there's definitely a shift that, you know, is almost tangible, you know, in the space these days since the 10th when Jupiter went into Libra. And I mean, Mercury's still retrograde, but when the Sun goes there with the equinox on the 22nd, and then Mercury turns around and joins it, and we're going to have the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter all in Libra, which is an air sign. Air, cardinal air. Cardinal is initiating, Brahma, creating. It's like the cardinal air is the wind, and the wind is change. And the wind communicates, and the wind blows pollen, you know, and fertilizes new ideas and new thoughts and new relationships. And we're emerging out of, I called the, you know, much of 2016, that was the year of the great purification. Because both the north node of the moon, which I don't know how, you know, we can get more into that, but also Jupiter, you know, has been really since August 10th of 2015 until September 10 of 2016. It goes around every 12 years. It spends a year in a sign. And this whole last year, Virgo, let's look at Virgo. It's not air, it's earth. Okay? And it's not cardinal, which is like, you know, initiating change. It's mutable, which is, you know, like receiving or modifying or mutating according to an external environment that is changing. And so this mutation, you know, having to do with purification, Virgo is a sign of initiation. It's right in between Leo, which is the self, and Libra, which is partnership and other people. And in that, you know, the year of Jupiter in Leo, you know, 14 and 15, you know, was expand, and I am great, and I have a purpose, and I'm original, and I'm cool, and I'm the superstar, and I got it all together, and boom. Then comes the year of Jupiter in Virgo, which is, oh, are you really? Just how great are you? Just how useful are you? Just how relevant are you? Just how much can you serve, heal, help, fill a need of the collective or another person? Or so this has been a year of analyzing, of self, criticizing, perfecting, and getting our act together, and ridding ourselves of our illusions, of our grandiose ideas or schemes, and grounding into reality. And this is very often depressing. We can look at other Saturn, Neptune square, other astrological aspects that will also point to this need to have a deeper purpose to our lives, to have a deeper meaning to our existence, and to have our daily routine. Virgo in the 6th house has to do with our daily routine. What are we daily doing? It's not just about, thinking, singing, talking. It's been about walking our talk and, having our talk and our walk, be worth something to someone besides ourselves. So, Jupiter basically expands, blows up, makes bigger whatever it contacts. And it's been contacting Virgo, which is, my teacher calls it, Jeffrey Green calls Virgo crisis consciousness. And so Jupiter has been in there for a year, creating more crisis, creating more, and what is crisis? But crisis is an event that forces us to prioritize. It really forces us to say, okay, if my house is on fire, I need the computer first, or the food first, or my photographs first, or my, it's like when there's a crisis, it helps us to determine our values, to determine our beliefs, to determine what is most important to us, what our life is about. I mean, what we're really here for. So yeah, this has been a year of crisis, and the purification that I speak of is getting down to the essential. And the essential, is, our self, our bodies, our personal, emotional, mental, physical balance, integrated wholeness of being, rather,
Yeah, and me as a Virgo, I can attest to everything you just said. The crisis or crying ISIS, if you will. That fits perfectly in there, and also of course the routine. It's so funny because I have opened a business last year, and I didn't have a day off since then. And the routine is really, I did everything every day, the same kind of deal, including weekends, because it's a coffee shop, so we're open every day. And there's really, the routine was never so prominent in my life as this year when Jupiter was there. So that is spot on. And of course, I want to talk about eclipses. Those are very interesting, and we are right in between two eclipses right now. I think on September 22nd is the closing one. It really seems that the window is wide open right now. What do you think about that?
Oh, is it ever? Yeah, I mean, we could spend the entire time talking about eclipses, because I'm really into the eclipses and the difference between the eclipses that happen. They happen twice a year, and they happen when, there's an alignment with the moon's nodes, which is where the path of the moon crosses the ecliptic, which is where the orbit of the Earth, creates a plane with the sun. So this is, where there's these direct alignments of sun, moon, and Earth. And these happen twice a year, when the point of the moon's orbit, there's a north node where it's ascending or rising, and there's a south node where it's descending in its orbit, and it crosses that plane in two places that are 180 degrees apart. So the moon's nodes, the north node is the ascending node, or the dragon's head in the future. The south node is the dragon's tail. It's where the moon is descending or heading south, across that plane. So we have these eclipses twice a year, and they're very different from each other. So this is a time where, the last ones were in March, but they were south node eclipses. And so now, 6 months later, we are at a north node eclipse. So right here we have a differentiation, okay? Not all eclipses are created equal. And the north node eclipse, let's really look at it, because any planet, and it's not just the moon that has moon's nodes, okay? Venus has nodes, Mars has nodes. You can look at all the planetary nodes. I work a lot with the Pluto the nodes of Pluto and Saturn, and et cetera, et cetera. But wherever a planet is ascending, or the north node of that planet, that is a point where that planet is stronger in what we could say is more of a positive, future orientated, energetic flow. So when we have a north node eclipse, the moon is crossing over her own north node, so the moon is stronger and then the sun. So at this particular time, okay, we just had this solar eclipse, but it was preceded by a lunar eclipse. August 18th was a lunar eclipse. Then we had the solar eclipse on September 1st, and now we're going to have, like you said, on the 16th, we're going to have this second lunar eclipse. It's kind of like a sandwich, lunar, solar, lunar, and so it's full moon, new moon, full moon. And these are like super full moons, super new moon, super full moon. And when we look at this, then what we can say is, for the lunar eclipse at that full moon, the sun's on the north node, the moon is on the south node, so she's weaker, and there is this solar power and strength, really coming through as the moon is kind of blocked by the earth. So let's look at lunacy, the emotions, the subconscious, the inner child, okay, this personal, intuitive, changeable, chaotic, emotion feeling, very self-oriented, narcissistic, kind of like, it has a lot to do with psychosis and neurosis and like all these kinds of things that go on, things that go bump in the dark. Okay, this is this subconscious lunar kind of energy being kind of blocked out. So we could say that August 18th, okay, with that full moon, with that lunar eclipse, the sun is like coming in there, and it was actually in the sign of Leo. Okay, so even Leo's ruled by the sun. Super powerful time there in the middle of August of like possibly seeing objectively, clearly, without your subjective personal needs so much, like who you are, what you're about, what your path is, what your work holds for you, what your future holds, where you want to go. And then September 1st comes around, the moon comes around and it blocks out the sun. And this is an annular lunar eclipse, okay? So it was like within a couple of degrees of the node, super powerful, whereas the two lunar eclipses are, 10, 12 degrees away from the nodes. They're very partial, So this solar eclipse, the moon comes in and says, forget the solar, organizing, light-bearing, I don't want to say masculine, but, just kind of like really, King Arthur kind of, look at the whole big, king thing, okay? And let's bring in this personal, like, yeah, I have personal needs here. And I count and I matter. And so this is a time, where all of the emotional fears or emotional needs or all the blocks to just like accomplishing that universal mission that we're all on, it's like now we get to deal with all of the like freakouts, of what that entails, of how I need to say no to this and yes to that, and what I need to change and leave behind and embrace and blah, 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 it's like it's just like that's the way I think I started the last Pele report. Was like with just we've been kind of in this eclipse period, of really seeing our limitations, that we are human beings, that we have fears and we have faults and we have shortcomings and we're not frickin' Superman and Wonder Woman. And it's just like, oh my God, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And this, this is like be a time where, yes, I would love to save the world, and there's no frickin' way it's
Yeah,
happening now.
but for doing that, you have to reach the balance. And again, we see, those moon, eclipses, also sun again. So again, those energies of masculine and feminine are playing here. And also we know that we are entering now, fully entering the Aquarius age, again, balancing those energies too. And, the sun and moon are teaching now, almost every single month, So that's very, very interesting here.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, right, that now we have another lunar eclipse coming, on the 16th. So it's kind of like, like see the path and then go down, descend into the underworld, into all of the, fears and chaos and everything that's, kind of,
Contemplation, yeah.
And now it's almost like a resurrection. I feel like there's a whole big, clarity, that's just going to, really happen, super big time here, with this equinox, with this eclipse, with the Mercury coming back to the node and stationing. And I mean, it's just like, this is really a time of goal setting, of planning, of committing, of breaking old contracts, old commitments that don't, fit the future intention. This is just like a super great time now that we're coming into. I really feel this is a time of making new relationship, connections, commitments, whatever, and meeting new people that are going to assist us in our, exploration of, and this is the other thing, the fall of the patriarchy, the re-emerging feminine, the new paradigm, the Pluto polarity point and the north node of Pluto in the sign of Cancer, the north node of Saturn in the sign of Cancer, all ruled by the moon, has to do with this, that it's not the old age of Pisces, okay? And it's not the old age, of the masculine. This is part of, how can I say, it's like integrating our emotional nature, our human nature, our lower chakras, that's like the upper chakras are all light, clarity, and third eye, and, crown, and throat chakra, these are all, you could say very solar, in some ways very masculine, very objective, very universal. And you know what? Like you're saying, this time of Libra, this time of balance, Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is associated with the heart chakra, which balances the upper chakras with the lower chakras. The underworld, okay, the feminine, the personal, the chaotic, intuitive, gut desires and wants, and animal nature, and need for, hunger, and so what we want to be doing here is, I think in Pisces, you went to the ashram or the convent or the monastery, you put on your chastity belt, you stopped having sex and money and drugs and fun, and and that was the path, to spirituality. And guess what? Gone, done. Now I see the new paradigm, the age of Aquarius, is this opening, this liberation involves owning our masculine, feminine gender, our sexuality, our emotional nature, and bringing that into the equation of what it means to be spiritual, what it means to evolve, what it means to love. I mean, really, we could say that love is being redefined, in this new paradigm.
Sure, amazing. And also, I wanted to ask you about Saturn. We now have Saturn in Sagittarius, and like you said, Saturn in Sagittarius is being open to possibilities. And also, other thing that people, just noticing now is acceleration of time, and we live many lifetimes as if in that one time, so as if time ceases to exist, and that also just maybe just shows that Chronos doesn't impact us on material level as it before did. So how it changed, and how Saturn now relates to structure and order according to the Aquarian age and current decades we are living now.
Yeah. I would say another big part of what I talked about with 2016, and I would say it's not over yet, is this Saturn square Neptune. Yeah. And we can really look at this because it came around in November of 15, June 18th of 16, and then 9/11. It had its, went direct and had its third pass, but it's still with an orb. Saturn moves very slow, Neptune moves very slow. So they are still in orb, I would say, really for the rest of the year. And this is huge. and this is also Saturn square the moon's nodes, because Neptune is conjunct the south node of the moon. So this even has to do with the eclipses. Okay, and that solar eclipse, being square Saturn, was like really super huge too. So let's look at this, because like you were saying, Neptune is our unlimited, multi-dimensional spirit self. It's love, no boundaries. I am you, you are me, we are one, we are all together. It is just like no walls, no rules. It's wild, it's free, it's the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. It's just infinite potential. It's really beyond our ability to intellectually grasp. It's infinity. And as such, it can also be associated, with innocence as being the alpha, as being the potential. It's like we're all born out of infinite, multi-dimensional, spirit space, down into Saturn, down into 3 dimensions, man. We're going to take 13 and squeeze it into 3, and you're going to have an ego, and you're going to have a separate body that needs to survive and eat and be clothed and sheltered and so it's like whenever these two come across each other, it's not pretty. It's just like infinity meet the finite. It's like so it's very, like I say, Saturn. Let's so here we have this Neptune, and this is kind of interesting. It's in Pisces, which it rules from 2010 to 2024, and it's very strong in its own sign. And so there is this desire to escape, deny, avoid, take off, have some ayahuasca, have some, pot, have some alcohol, have some sex, have some movies, have some books, distract, just like, do anything, like, let's just like chill out,
Yeah, exactly. Those dark aspects that are really calling for an answer from deep inside of us, where we really have to go, into the dark space, down the rabbit hole, and kind of think about things. And I wanted to talk to you about a little bit about, the darker aspects. You talk a lot about, Lilith, Dark Star, and of course there are other aspects too, such as, Algol, which is the third eye of the head of Medusa in the Perseus constellation, of course. And, we get words like alcohol right from Algol. It's actually comes from Al-Ghul. Ghul is in there. And alcohol is just, in alchemy, the really essential spirit of something. May it be a powder or a liquid, that's just a real deep spirit, and that's what comes out with alcohol. So these darker aspects are certainly important in many gurus and whatnot. Leave that out, and have you just look at the bright side of life, so to speak, and completely forget your shadow side. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, I know, man. It's like I say, and I've likened it to opening up Pandora's box, because Pisces and Neptune is the collective unconscious. And so much of what is the collective unconscious is everything that has been stuffed, avoided, and denied for centuries. Thousands of years of let's not look at this and let's bury that and let's put that in the cellar or put that behind bars. Or so there's a lot of moldy, stinky, rotten, neurotic, shit going on down there. And as a matter of fact, the south node of the moon, is this kind of portal. It is kind of a gateway, and that's why I say this opening of Pandora's box. It's exact November 17th. So they're getting closer and closer. It's now, right now, the node's at 12 degrees and Neptune is at 10. And they're both going retrograde, but the node is going to catch up to Neptune, in November. And so it's going to intensify even more. And this is a place where, when there's no boundaries, we can infringe on other people's boundaries, right? This is, so this is also a place, I think, like Hitler had, some powerful Neptune stuff. And this is like, where you can get into delusions. Neptune in Pisces has to do with delusions, self-delusion, lies, deceit. This is just like places where you don't know where you stop and the other person begins, and it's also a place where of victim and martyrdom, where you can be infested, or viruses and bacteria rules the immune system, and the breakdown of the immune system invites disease. So this is also a time where it's like, the gates of hell are open, and out comes all the nasties, and all the things that we're afraid of and that we've buried and that we don't want to look at or deal with. Or I'm doing a workshop here in Bali, riding the dragon. It's really, this is a time, and it's a very powerful time. And what we can say is, let's look at then, over to Saturn in Sagittarius. And Mars is also now in Sagittarius here for a little longer. And this Saturn is fire, Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, has to do, with natural law. Not man-made laws, that's Capricorn. But Saturn actually is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn has to do with man-made laws, institutions, governments, militaries, banks, business, corporations. It's how we structure, how we survive, and like you were saying, Saturn is form and structure. And when it comes around and touches any point in your chart or the collective chart, it reforms and restructures what was, or what appeared to be set in stone or solid as a rock, or the established authorities and governments and external head honchos and chiefs or whatever determined that this was true and this was real and this is what success looks like and this is what failure looks like and blah 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 blah. This is this is the recipe to control and power and security. Yeah, Saturn and Capricorn have to do with physical, financial security. So it moving through Sagittarius for 2.5 years, from I think October of 15 until the end of 17. It's actually a little more, but this is reforming and restructuring what we, as individually and collectively, seek as meaningful, as true, as natural law. This is a time of bringing man-made laws, human-made laws, into alignment with natural laws. And what is not in alignment with natural laws is going to, like just be, a force of suppression, restriction, obstacles, limitation, and it's just really going to, so this can be a time where, particularly with Pluto moving through Capricorn, where some of the old institutions and old forms and old hierarchies and old authority figures are in desperate, final stages and final clutches, and will do anything, and will bring up all the fears and all the scare tactics and all the, last ditch efforts to maintain and hold on to outdated, outmoded socio-cultural, religious forms of conditioning. And this is what Sagittarius has to do with.
Yeah, definitely, riding the dragon, like you said, and all these riding and slaying the dragon pictures, of course, have to do with coming to terms with our Kundalini force, may it be the serpent bearer Ophiuchus, the 13th sign there, he holds the dragon, of course. And today it's, the 13th, so there's another, but they all make the point, to slay the dragon inside, and awaken this Kundalini force. And of course, that's a center of your teachings and courses.
Yeah, I mean, and also, of course, Lilith moving through Scorpio, which is the sign of the serpent. I mean, Scorpio is the scorpion associated also with the snake and the serpent, and then also again with the eagle. So, Scorpio is a pretty complex, dynamic. And looking at it here, it's actually today, Lilith is in an exact sextile to the north node of the moon, trining the south node of the moon, sextile Pluto, and as we speak, square the moon herself. But yeah, this is also Lilith moving through Scorpio from now until February of 2017. I don't know if we want to go into this whole shadow dragon.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit, because Christina is a Scorpio, actually. I'm sure she would appreciate that.
Well, Scorpio, it's like you can divide the zodiac into three. Yeah, the beginning is Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Starts with fire, ends with water. This is the instinctive, impulsive, unconscious, start of the cycle or any, person or enterprise or impulse. Dies in Cancer to give birth to Leo, another fire sign, which is the unconscious into self-consciousness. And then Leo develops through Virgo and Libra and meets in Scorpio a force beyond its own control, whether it is another person that we can't control, nature herself, inheritance, taxes, insurance, there's many forces beyond our control, Monsanto would probably be one of them. But, we have all these, forces beyond our control, right? That we either merge with and become more powerful, or they kill us and we die and we transform into something completely different. But one way or the other, it's the end of self through osmosis, through merging, through union. It's also orgasm and sexual intercourse. And that transforms us, it's like alchemy, into a new birth in Sagittarius, which is transpersonal consciousness that then moves and develops through Capricorn, Aquarius, and dies in Pisces, returning to cosmic consciousness. So we have unconscious, self-conscious, transpersonal conscious and cosmic conscious. That's the first time I ever saw it that way. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so this Scorpio is this transitional phase. And this transitional phase has to do with, I call Scorpio hell. It's ruled by Pluto, god of the underworld. It's the opposite of Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. I call that the garden of paradise, And so this is this underworld experience where we meet the guardian of the threshold, or we meet the limit of our personal power, of what we know and can control, and we struggle to maintain, right, what we have and what we are, and what we think we are. So this has to do with the fear of loss, betrayal, abandonment. Yes, Scorpio, these are the three major issues that have to do with loss, betrayal, and abandonment, and then of course needing to trust in order to connect and unite, in order to become more powerful, or expand ourselves into and transform ourselves into the master. So Scorpio is also about mastery. So the shadow of Scorpio, okay, is just this fear of loss that leads to struggle, control, dominating, minding other people's business, okay, and getting really lost in the espionage and the, all of the intensity. And needing this, it's a water sign, this emotional intensity, and and so Lilith, really coming through here, is wanting to, what is the goal? She's wanting to like bring up all of these shadow issues, and it's really, it's about giving up the struggle. Letting go of the struggle, not needing the struggle, not needing all of this, like, gossip and wealth, all this, I don't know, just, the fight.
Yeah.
Not winning. It's coming to terms with not winning. Scorpio is humbling. Sex is humbling. Relationship, intimacy is humbling. We get naked. We expose ourselves, our weaknesses, our faults, and we want to be loved unconditionally. And this is where you can have the greatest orgasm, or you can be so jealous or envious or have your heart broken. So we're in this turf, and Lilith, like I say, she's really been there. She spends 10 months in a sign. I think she went in there in like late May. Okay. And so this is really a time for each and every one of us to be feeling very deeply, and and our desire to merge and connect and evolve through intimacy and through partnership is like really calling us. Like this desire body is very strong right now, magnetically pulling us towards, we could say in a way, our own annihilation, our ego annihilation, that I say gives birth in Sagittarius to a greater sense of self, and a greater sense of meaning, and a greater sense of purpose. But this involves some real exposure of our deeper underlying, Pluto rules the Kundalini, it rules the root chakra, and this root chakra is the greatest fear, is the fear of death, and all of the other fears that emerge and come out of and come along with that fear of death and annihilation. So it's this very bizarre place where we want to evolve and we want to grow, and yet that involves like the snake shedding its skin, or the phoenix rising from the ashes, or Inanna descending into hell and resurrecting again, or Christ or Dionysus, or you have so many of these figures that it's the seed must die that it be born again, right? And so part of this process that we're going through, and I'm also talking even into 2017, which I'm calling the year, of, the end of illusion, and the death of illusion, and even this Saturn Neptune square that's hanging out. Neptune can be illusions, and Saturn is reality, third dimensional reality, and this end of illusions is disillusionment. And it is depressing. We're coming, full circle back to where we were talking before.
Yeah.
But the good news is, at least we're going to come out of this knowing more fully what we've got and what we don't have, and what's in our toolbox, and what what we need to go to the hardware store and get. It's like, okay, I'm missing a screwdriver, it's like, okay, yeah, you need to go get a screwdriver, man. I mean, you show up going, okay, I'm ready to change the, this or that and the other, and then, your client or your customer or your partner, says, guess what, you're inadequate. You can't do what you wanted to do, or what you said you were going to do, or what you came here to do, or what you promised you would do, and and it's kind of like everybody's kind of eating humble pie these days, and it sucks, but all we can say is that it's preparing us and showing us, what's coming in Sagittarius, and this Mars in Sagittarius and Saturn in Sagittarius is, get it together now,
Yes, sure. Earthing everything. And also, I was very curious, in one of your chats with other people in the show, you just talked about the Earth including, into the charts, like not only, 12 planets, but also Earth playing into this game. So maybe you can share how you do that, how you include Earth into the chart itself. Because as far as we know, all the wheel is already the Earth, the sine wave on the equator. So how you can, include Earth, how it plays with energies with our planets in the charts.
Oh yeah, well it's quite it's very simple, because the astrological horoscope that we draw is called geocentric. I mean, you can do a heliocentric chart, which really shows that the time that you were born with the sun as the center has more to do with your spiritual astral body. But the geocentric has more to do with events that are happening here on Earth and with your physical body. And so the Earth is always exactly opposite the sun. From the from the Earth, where we see, you can imagine, you're standing on Earth and you're looking at the sun, and the sun is in the sign of Aquarius. Well, if you were standing on the sun, the Earth would be in Leo, opposite Aquarius. So the Earth and the sun are always opposite. So it's interesting now, the sun is today at 21 degrees of Virgo. For your birthday, Stefan, a couple of days from now, okay, the sun is going to be, at 23 degrees Virgo, which is exactly opposite Chiron. So we can also say that the Earth in her orbit is coming into this direct alignment. If you think of an eclipse, it's almost like, the Earth is eclipsing, Chiron. It's right in between Chiron and the sun. So there we have, a whole nother conversation that you could have. But, so it's very, I would say the polarity point of the sun is also a very powerful point, for us to watch in our, in our transits and in our charts. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're coming towards the end of the show. We only have a few minutes left here. You have an appointment, you gotta go. So at this point, I would just like to again extend our gratitude and a thankfulness for the work that you do. It's so great to watch your Pele report, every week, and this really how you do it is phenomenal, and it's also great, that so many people have the chance to enjoy that. And actually, some of my friends would like to extend their gratitude and say hi and whatnot. Um, and we all can't wait for the next one, of course. But just for towards before we let you go, um, what is going on with the rest of 2016? What can we expect here? And is it going getting crazy, or what can we expect here?
Yeah. Well, I really feel very strongly that, we're coming into this a very powerful time on October 7th. It will be exact, and that is Saturn squaring the moon's nodes. And that is it's a turning point between the south node is the past and the north node is the future. And Saturn is saying it's time to grow up, it's time to mature, it's time to close doors, to finish contracts, and to let go of long-standing situations, conditions, beliefs, patterns, even from childhood. 28 years ago, Saturn is a 28 to 29 year cycle. So this is a very powerful time. Saturn deals with separation of the past, and in order to commit and move forward into a new future. So I think we're really hitting a kind of a turning point coming around here through this next month or so. And then then I really see things speeding up, picking up, moving faster forward. Mercury goes direct, like I said, it all goes into air signs, and Mars and Saturn in fire, and it's just like boom, 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 and then Mars is going to go into Capricorn, and we're just going to have, things are going to just like, if it's going to be, it's going to be hold on to your hats, and hold on to your butts, and hold on to, it's going to be very exciting, and it's going to lighten up. And I'm really optimistic about things, moving forward in a more rapid fashion, and having a little bit, letting go of this purification stuff. The only thing we're going to have to watch out for 2017 is too much. Too much. We're going to have a Jupiter opposite Uranus, coming up through 17, and it can just be, no limits, no boundaries, extreme need for freedom and exploration, and just like overextending, overexpanding, overdoing, overcommitting, over. It's going to be, so whereas 2016 was there's not enough, I'm not enough, and you're not enough, and there is never enough, and and I think we can also come into this place of too much, and so we're going to need to balance that out a little bit.
Balance it out. That's a good word for the end of our show here. Well, thank you again. It was great having you. I hope we can do this again in the future. Of course, there's so much more we'd like to ask you, but the short time I think was pretty informative here, and we had a ton of fun. So let's do this again, and again, thank you so much. Much love.
Thank you so much.
Really nice to meet you guys. Where are you?
Well, I'm in the U.S. On the East Coast, and Christina's actually in Lithuania. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Europe.
Oh, great. Wow. Well, good. Yes. Send me the link, to your program or your website or whatever. It's full to meet you. I get, really good energy exchange with you too. I thank you very much for having me because that's what I'm about. Spreading the love, man. Let's bring it on. So thank you for the work you're doing, and look forward to connecting with you guys again sometime.
And
Thank
so
you so
much
much.
love.
So much love.
So much love.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. I think the main thing is love yourself. Unconditional self-love implies, yes, this sense of forgiveness and this sense of unity, and it will be mirrored. You can't really love anybody else until you love yourself. It's all these mirrors going around, and really, as we come into accepting, all of our foibles and all of our, idiosyncrasies and all of our bizarre, kinky, eccentric, realities, it's all, we will find beauty in each other, in ourselves, in the whole menagerie of creation. And so many, everything will just, the wars and the violence and the control and the fear will just dissipate. It will just dissolve away as people come into a state of self-acceptance. That's